What's good, people? This is about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, I was watching the Mayweather channel. Jeff Mayweather was being interviewed, and I watched about 5 or 6 different videos of people giving predictions about Crawford versus Spence in the rematch, right? And what all of them were asked. This is disturbing, man. And I'm going to tell you why. They were all asked, what do they think would happen in the rematch? They all kind of pause, Now, they all feel like the same thing will probably happen in the rematch. That, even if it's a better fight, that Crawford might just be too skilled for Spence. And they all were asked, what if the fight happens at 154? Right? Long story short, they all came to the conclusion that if I was Crawford, I would make him fight again in the rematch at the same weight. Why is that? Well, I beat him once, so I already know I can beat him. And why give him the advantage that he needs by going to 154? Now, here's the thing. We're not talking about Spence coming down from a weight class or two. They're both in the same weight class. Now, if Terrence Crawford decided that that's what he was going to do, yeah, I'm going to give you your rematch, but at 147. Well, he's not wrong. He's not breaking any rules, any laws by doing that. But what would be the point? Because you already beat him soundly, right? It's obvious. Spence is saying 154. He feels more comfortable at 154. Now, for the people that, say they're both, like struggling with the weight. Yeah, they both have said it's getting harder to make 147. But understand, it obviously the weight cut doesn't affect Crawford the way it does Spence. I made a video about Spence also, and this isn't Crawford, any other fighter's problem. This is a Spence problem. I personally think Spence gains too much weight in between fights. And that's why he winds up cutting the weight so fast, and it probably drains him because of that reason. When I see Spence with a pot belly, it's like, is the guy going through a depression or something? Like, what's going on with him, right? Because what's the purpose of you walking around 190 something pounds in between fights, and then now you got to cut all of this shit down by the time, 3.5 month, 4 month, maybe training camps. So, it's obvious that Crawford doesn't have as hard of a time cutting the weight, and Spence is still, almost 20 pounds heavier than Crawford. Okay. At the end of the day, why I say this is disturbing that these guys are all saying the same thing is because, look, you're the same guys that talk about all-time greats. You're the same guys that talk about, legacy and people becoming legends in this sport. No, Crawford wouldn't be doing anything wrong. Crawford himself, though, at the post conference was saying that, oh, yeah, we could fight at 154. We could definitely make that happen. The fighters, and this is something I know, we don't care about what you think in terms of, we don't see things the way you see it. We understand, okay, this person is saying this, or these people think this and that, but Crawford, okay, let's understand, for him to be an all-time great, or any other fighter, Crawford's mindset is probably, we could do it at 154, but it's obvious it won't be for the titles. This would just be another fight for legacy, but the titles are not on the line because they fight at 147, and there's no reason, nothing makes sense about you defending a 147-pound title at 154, So, that being said, I think Crawford's mindset is more like, I beat him the first time, and it wasn't a fluke. Now, if he feels more comfortable at 154, no problem. We go there and I beat him again at 154. Then he has no excuses, right? Now, he doesn't have to do that. He can still say, no deal. 147, take it or leave it. He could do that. But my thing is, the best want to fight the best. Not as a catchphrase. Not just for namesake. But physically, I'm at my best, you're at your best. We're both at the comfortable weight. That I have to applaud, because if that happens, okay. I think that obviously if the weight obviously had a, that it was an issue for Spence, what would be the purpose? At 100%, there's no guarantee that Spence beats Crawford. So this is the whole thing of what I'm saying. We know that you have to change tactics, you have to change the strategy, you have to come different from what he did. Like I said before the fucking fight, Crawford just has to be Crawford. Spence is going to have to be different. But the fact that people are saying I would make him fight at the same weight, and the reason they're saying that is not just because of the request of 154. They all said Spence didn't look right. They think that he was weight drained. That is the point, what I'm saying, why it's disturbing. Because if Crawford did that, imagine if Crawford did that and then admitted, well, here's the thing, Spence. I know that you're weight drained and that making it at this weight is very difficult for you, right? So not only do you have to deal with my skill set, but now you have to deal with getting weak, feeling burnt out, not needing what you need to beat me in the fight. So I'm going to issue the rematch to you, but guess what? Same weight class. Because I don't want to give you a chance to really be at full strength. So, yeah, if they both are struggling with the weight, then it should be easier to make. Again, we know if that was to happen, it's no longer for Undisputed. This is just basically for legacy's sake. Okay, you beat me, I beat you. Spence lose twice, like I said, he has nothing to say. But the fact that all these people, and this is what I'm saying, these are not younger people. These like the older cats are like saying that he make them fight him again at the same weight to make sure he wins. Because it's obvious they're saying, why let that man get the full strength? Well, if we both struggling to make the weight, then it should be fair for both of us. It's not like Spence gonna come in the ring 250 pounds. It's like Spence is requesting what he wants because he obviously feels more confident at 154. What I don't understand is how people say what they're saying about Spence and Crawford, but yet Beevil is saying he wants to fight Canelo at 168 because the excuses about him being too small, he don't want to hear that shit. I already beat him at 175. So how about I come down to 168? Now Spence is being cushioned by Mauricio. He can't let the belt be on the line because they don't want to make a fight with Mexicans. I mean, with Russians. So I'm sitting here like, so saying you want to go up to 175 and fight Beevil. It's not going to happen because it can't be. It can happen. It just won't be for Undisputed. You understand what I mean? It won't be for a title at all. Then when you turn around and hear that, oh, he's too small. He's too small for 175. Even though he beat Kovalev at 175, knocked him out, but he's too small for 175. So that's the Canelo excuse. He's either too young or too small. Yeah. People are saying, fuck that. I don't have anything to prove at 175. They're just going to say, I was supposed to beat you like I did the first time. So now I want to come down to the weight that you and your fanboys said that you're unbeatable at, right? And then people are talking about, oh man, Beevil, he knows that basically if he lose, he's going to say he was weight drained. I'm like, you guys make all these excuses saying that he's going to say this and he's going to say that. Listen at what the man is telling you. I beat him at 175 already. First, y'all already planned to make an excuse. He was too small. Now all of a sudden, Beevil will make the excuse that he was weight drained. People, Beevil is saying, no, I know it wasn't a fluke. And I'm not trying to prove it wasn't a fluke. But the fact is, I have no reason to fight you again at 175. I'll just ice you out again. You have Undisputed at 168, right? So if you feel like you're unbeatable at 168, how about I come take your belts at 168? But there's a defense mechanism built around. So Oh, well, but why would he do that? He never fought at 168. So he don't deserve a shot. Wait, neither has Terrence Crawford fought at 168 before. But it's okay if he fights Canelo. Now all of a sudden Canelo's talking about Crawford's done nothing. He only fought one notable guy. I'm just saying, right? Do y'all see what I'm saying? With Bivol wants to fight Canelo at his most comfortable weight. He's not saying I will fight Canelo again, but only at 175. No, I want to come to your house, to your comfort zone, and fight you at 168. So yeah, I believe that's Terrence Crawford's mindset. Now, can somebody persuade him to see it different and wind up, saying, all right, we're going to do this again, Spence, but we're going to do it at the same weight class? To be honest with you, and especially if you feel like it's the same thing, then where's the interest in that fight? Where's the intrigue? Especially if you sit here knowing ahead of time, Spence can't beat Crawford. So then what's the point of watching it? What is the point, period? Right? If you feel like, nah, this is going to be the same thing. Okay, if I saw that already, I don't need to see that same fight again. Just to act like it's something new, no. And it wasn't a great fight. It was a one-sided beatdown. And, Spence was throwing punches and fighting back, but he couldn't get anything going. So I don't feel like Terrence Crawford feels the need to try to hide behind the weight and have him fight at the same weight that he already got beat at and got beat badly. So just saying, if that's the case, I was thinking like this. Since Terrence Crawford is willing to go to 168, and now all of a sudden, Canelo is, let's be real. Demetrius Andrade is a horrible fighter. He's done nothing. He want payday. Right? Benavidez, we're both Mexican. But at the same time, you only fought one champion. He's done nothing. He's finally getting ready to get in there with Charlo. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, Terrence Crawford has done nothing. So it's like, well, who do you want to fight? Now, how embarrassing would that be for Canelo? Let's say Terrence Crawford comes to 168. Him and Bivol work something out. And Bivol say, I'll come to 168 to fight you. I'll do it. This will strictly be for legacy's sake because there's no belt on the line at all. How embarrassing would it be if Terrence Crawford went all the way up to 168 and fought David Morrell and beat him? So it would be embarrassing. Why? Because Canelo, this dude came up and beat the guy that you refused to fight. Now, Crawford's at 168. What excuse do you have to not fight him? If he was to put that pressure on him, just think about it. Because it's like, well, I came up and fought the guys you wouldn't fight. I didn't come up and fight your leftovers. I fought and beat the guys you wouldn't fight. So, on one hand, Terrence Crawford is daring to be great and greater because, yeah, we could do it again. We can go to 154, no problem. But why are these veterans sitting up here, and sitting, like making the point that he should fight him again at the same weight class if they're going to do it again? That way, he ensures that he wins, right? Unless he just going in and have an incredibly bad night and Spence is just having the greatest night of his life in the ring, then it's a definite win again. So, you know what I mean? It's one of these things where it's like, damn, man, like these guys have been around the block for a while, but yet they're all trying to get, saying that Terrence Crawford should do it the easy way. Let this dude's, fight me at a weight where he's less comfortable than I am. So even if it's, look, for example, right? Does everybody in basketball, okay? Does everybody make the same amount of shots every game? No. Some nights you score high, some nights you score low. Sometimes you knocking nothing but threes down, then sometimes you can't even buy a three, right? Shit happens. So for us to say, well, this guy shouldn't fight him at 154, I'm like, if he wants to do that, cool. If he doesn't want to do that, cool. It sucks for Errol Spence because for Errol Spence to feel stronger at 154 and feel like he can perform better, then we'll never know. So it's not like Crawford has to, but I don't see the point of them having a rematch. And if the situation was that, yeah, the weight really bothered Spence, it'll just be the same shit all over again, right? But at the same time, again, on the other hand, you got a guy like Bevo that's saying, nah, I want to come down to where your comfortable weight is. And I'm like, you know what, man? It's not a bad idea. If Crawford is going to stay at 168, go there and then stay, then hey, there's other guys that he can get in there with. Put some pressure on Canelo where it's like, Canelo, what's going on? How come this fight isn't happening? At the same time, when I look at their ages now too, it's like people need to understand, like, this is what I don't get. When you in Canelo's shoes, you're in a position where, like they talk about the franchise champ, you go up and down and weight and fight whatever champion you want, right? Why would you not want Terence Crawford's name on your legacy? Why would you not want to fight him? So you gave us all these other excuses as to why you don't want to fight these other guys, but damn, now Crawford too. So I was just thinking about that, man. Like, you know, me personally, I feel like Spence has to do so much to go in there and compete with Terence Crawford and have success. He has to change things, a lot of things, because mentality-wise, man, Spence more likely will resort back to what he know, and that's getting close, trying to just pressure. So, again, this is boxing. Things can happen. Guy could land the punch he needs, fight over. It could happen. But for Errol Spence, I don't see a reason for a rematch at 147. I really don't. I just don't. And the fact that he exercised the rematch clause, what I would say for Errol is if Terence Crawford does say same weight class, 147, you better start cutting that weight like yesterday. And the skills that you need to sharpen up on are things that you need to do. When you already have it in you, it should not be hard to apply this. It's just the simple fact that I just think in terms of discipline, there's a difference between Crawford and Spence in that area. And that's an area that people are underestimating, but no. You know, you have to understand you should have no weaknesses in your game. You find any weaknesses and you know you fix that. You eliminate those issues. The problem with a lot of these fighters, man, is that in all honesty, man, they have their little gym buddies around them and people are not honest enough to let you know when you're lacking in the gym. You know, when you're doing something that becomes repetitive. And this is why I said it would help for Derrick James to study fights as well, because if you're not studying things and looking at all these different styles and things going on, then you're not able to really provide your fighter with more than what you've already been showing him, right? Errol Spence, same thing. All these fighters, they need to be studying these old fights and just, you know, honing their skills, man, and making sure that they're becoming the best fighters that they can. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, I just think that with all these veterans in the game talking about he should make them fight at the same weight, that lets me believe, well, that just lets me know that they were doing the same shit to fighters when they were fighting. And that would be the only reason. Now, the reason I can understand if Crawford is saying 147 is if Spence want the belts on the line. Because, like I said, he's the champ at 147, not 154. But if this is about a rematch, I want a chance to redeem myself, I want revenge. Okay, 154, that means the belts are not on the line. Right? Simple as that. I don't see, like I said, the reason for a rematch at 147. Like I said, and Crawford's not doing anything wrong if he was to do that. But I feel like the fighter in him is going to make him say, nah, we could do it at 154. So now there's no excuses. So basically, he's doing the same thing that Beeble's doing, only going up in weight and Beeble's coming down one. And then, you know, should he fight Spence again, beat him again? Then what's next for Terence Crawford? Does he, you know, wind up going to 168? Does he fight Charlo? Does Charlo win? Does Canelo win? You know, we don't know who's going to win this fight. And we just have to wait and see. But yeah, man, like I'm just looking at it like that, man, because Crawford really has nothing else to prove. He really doesn't. But he has to honor that rematch clause. Now, he fights Spence at 154 and beat him again. Hey, Doesn't matter what Spence anybody says, right? It is what it is. And then Terrence Crawford shows dominance over Errol Spence. So after that, unless he's going to fight a Gerard Ennis, why would Terrence Crawford stick around and do what? I mean, if you had to pick, would you rather see him fight Gerard or Keith? Keith Thurman is not the same. Keith Thurman been on the shelf too long. He's just too inactive, and Keith Thurman is not hungry anymore. It's obvious. He's just waiting for that one big last payday. That's what Keith Thurman is doing. You know, back and forth with Clarissa Shields, a bunch of goofy stuff. So I feel like if he was to beat, I mean, and let's say if he fought Keith Thurman, Terrence Crawford wins that fight hands down. But it makes less sense if he was to go to 168, but deny Errol Spence a rematch at 154. And again, it wouldn't be for the belts. You know, it's a legacy fight. It's a redefining moment. It's a revenge fight. It's a redemption fight for Errol Spence. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But I was just kind of like, wow, look at all these veteran dudes. There's a bunch of them. But it started, the first video I saw was Jeff Mayweather. So I guess the algorithms, because these wasn't even videos I was pulling up, they're just popping up. And everyone I was watching, people were saying the same things. I would make him fight at the same weight. You can't applaud that, but then get mad at Gervonta Davis for telling Ryan Garcia, nah, man, we fighting at the weight limit. We not gonna, and you have there's a rehydration clause. You can't get mad at that but then if Crawford does the same thing, with the exception of there'll be probably more likely won't be a rehydration clause, but because that's what you're saying. Let's take every possible strength away from Errol Spence to disarm him. So when he run out here with his fist and his elbows and knees, we got spears, axes, and shields. And it's like I don't see Crawford. You never know what a person is thinking, but I don't see Crawford as that type of person. I think that if they do fight again, and from what I understand, it's supposed to happen, that it would be at 154. If not, we just gonna have to see what happens. And I think 99.9% of the people feel like if they fight again at 147, especially, that he's just going to get smashed again. So I don't know, but it's just a disturbing type thing when you look at it and you hear all these people saying the same things. You know, these fighters know the tricks of the trades, man. I mean, shit, man. People thought Sonny Liston was going to kill Ali. This motherfucker put liniment on his gloves, had somebody in his corner put that shit on his gloves. So when he hit him, even on his body, you know, his hair, put it in his hair. Yeah, so when he's in the rubbing Vaseline, yeah, that's what you don't realize. You know, and the crazy thing about that, that's why they put it on the top. Why? So if you sweat, the sweat doesn't bring the liniment down in your eyes. So they just lightly on the head. You understand what I mean? Tried to blind Muhammad Ali so he couldn't see, and it backfired. So no, you don't need these little dirty tactics to try to, you know, secure a win. I think Terrence Crawford's like, man, look, I believe in my skill set, and I believe I'm better than Spence in everything. All around, I'll beat him. I don't think Crawford needs to do that to beat Spence. I think he beats him at 154 or 147 if Spence can't change his tactics. I don't think power alone is going to beat Crawford. Now, again, you can catch a guy, and all of a sudden you catch him right and he's out of there. But I don't think that he beats Terrence Crawford if he can't change his strategy to fight him the way he needs to win. And I don't even know if Spence has it in him to fight differently. So that's the thing we're going to have to wait and see. But tell me what y'all think about this whole make him fight at 147 if it's a weight issue. Because I know as the warrior in you, you want to know that I beat this guy at his best. But that climate is slowly changing with most fighters, and they're just like, fuck that. Let this motherfucker suffer again. We're going to fight him. We're going to make him as uncomfortable as possible. But yeah, I mean, tell me what y'all think. Y'all think this fight happens at 154 or 147? And of course, if it happens at 154, there'll be no titles on the line. I already know y'all think that Crawford's going to win. Me, myself, I think Crawford wins again. Because I just, you know, unless Spence can catch him and knock him out, Spence is going to have to be more disciplined than he's ever been. And that's easier said than done. Most of the time. Or most fighters. I mean, damn near all of them. So we'll just see how it goes. And yeah, man. I'm just built different, man. You know, I'm 250. So if I fought a motherfucker 280, I ain't gonna tell him you gotta lose no weight. I'm just gonna beat your big 280-pound ass. It's as simple as that. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm just different, man. You know, but just saying, if Crawford did decide to do that, he wouldn't be doing anything wrong. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all in the next video.